Hello and welcome to a Monster Mechanics mini episode where we're talking about how would monsters change our society.
Okay, so do you want to lay out some ground rules for this?
Oh, absolutely. So we're kind of thinking about like what creature, what monster would have sort of a big or the most impact on human culture and civilization and our society if it was true, if it was proven to be true.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think if we're pulling from media, I might say that like we're not necessarily saying like if we did, you had already mentioned the aliens from Independence Day. If we did the aliens from Independence Day, we wouldn't be guaranteeing the invasion. We would just be like saying that we know about them out there in the universe, right?
Mm-hmm. Which would probably be a pretty big deal regardless.
Yeah, I mean it would be a big deal, but it doesn't necessarily necessitate an invasion, I think.
Sure.
I mean, there's on the sort of lower end of that scale, I think that things like lots of people would love to find out that Bigfoot was real.
Oh yeah.
But like just because, I mean, lots of nerds would just love the fact that there's another big ape. There aren't that many big apes all told, but also, what that would do for the cryptid hunters out there is fantastic.
If that one's real, what about all these other ones? That kind of thing.
Loch Ness Monster, or, what's the one? There's a name for a cryptid that they think is in South America, which is just a brontosaurus or a patasaurus or something like that. It's just a big old dinosaur that people are like, oh yeah, it still exists. And if the quadrupedal, huge, scaly dinosaurs were still true, that would be really cool. I would just love that as the 12-year-old boy in me that still really loves dinosaurs. I would love that to be true.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
What would you think though would have like the biggest effect though?
The biggest effect?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always extraterrestrials. Like,
yes.
Just proving that there is more life out there in the universe that's got to fundamentally alter everything we know about everything.
Even if we couldn't communicate with them, we just got a signal that we're like, oh yeah, that's definitely extraterrestrials. We can't like read the signal. Like we're not going to be able to talk to them, but we know they're there. I think that alone is enough to make people go like kind of bonkers about the fact that we're not alone. Like there is other intelligent life out there. Would change a lot of people's perspectives.
Absolutely.
I wonder if that might be the only thing that might like sort of unify humanity.
that feels like really wishful thinking, but
hey, the one thing that seems to bring people together is an outside force for us to all to hate, which isn't exactly wishful thinking.
Yeah. I suppose you got a point there. I feel like another very impactful aspect would be the existence of fairies and the fae. Mm-hmm. Like specifically the kind you say that make deals and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where, anybody could be a fae and suddenly everyone has to like watch what they say, how they say things in case they're accidentally like promising something to a fae or I feel like we'd suddenly have a world just run by lawyers.
Yeah. And then also the huge number of people that would try to exploit the fae as like a way to get ahead.
Oh yeah.
Thinking that they can outlawyer the fae. Mm-hmm. And that could cause some upsets in things. Or it could just be one of those things where if you're a billionaire and you can hire all the best lawyers to create the contract that you have signed with the fae, maybe it's just another way to perpetuate income inequality.
I feel like it would eventually lead to like a kind of situation where through enough bad deals and whatnot, the Fae have sort of become a sort of Illuminati throughout the world where they're just a shadow government in control of everything or with enough blackmail on everyone to pull strings where necessary.
Yeah, that I could totally see that too. One of the ones that came to mind to me was just like ghosts and poltergeists and like the spirits of the undead.
Oh yeah.
I think that people's outlook on the world would change a lot if they knew that there was an afterlife and that it was you were just kind of stuck here. And proving that even if it wasn't like, okay, this is the only way for people to go on after death, just proving the existence that there is something that could go on after death changes the way a lot of people would act. Now there are lots of people who seem to believe that as it is, but I think indisputable proof of it would like have a huge impact.
Yeah. Can you imagine like a scenario, like suppose ghosts are, you can only become a ghost by having unfinished business or some sort of traumatic event or something that happens. Yeah. But if you know that like 100% certain, like if something bad happens to you in this specific way, you become a ghost and you don't know if there's any other afterlife besides being a ghost.
Yep.
What does that do for society? Like, are you going to roll the dice on potentially having another afterlife? Or are you going to go for the bad afterlife, but definitely an afterlife of some sort?
And like, can you imagine the impact of like, not only just like murder victims testifying at the trial?
Oh, yeah.
But also things like, do ghosts get a vote or not? Like, do they get to, like, are we going to poll all of the ancestors back to the ending of time about who we're going to elect as a president or not? Can ghosts hold elected office is also a really good question. And I'm not sure I'm in favor of anything that could allow Andrew Jackson to get back into politics.
Yeah, probably not a good idea, but it would be kind of amazing from a story perspective if you've got like some immortal ghost emperor who's just ruling over his dynasty for the last 1,000 years or something.
The necrogarchy, like it's a society ruled by the dead. That's kind of cool. That's a hot idea. We're gonna have to. I want somebody to do that, or I'm gonna have to.
We may have to go into that further in one of our major episodes.
Yeah, sure. Or honestly, just any non-human sentience, I think, would have a huge sort of philosophical impact on people, where like they suddenly have to grapple with the idea of, human versus not human versus intelligent versus not intelligent, and what does that mean for all kinds of legal theories and how you deal with people and like what is a person? I think that like brings that question to the forefront in a way that is interesting to me, and I think would have huge knock-on effects all told.
Like if a society of elves or orcs suddenly just appeared in modern day and just carved out a niche of the world for themselves and were a superpower of sorts, that would be really interesting to deal with just from a societal, cultural aspect. Yeah.
And that same idea applies to things like aliens or severely non-human intelligences like, Cthulhu and stuff like that. Where like, changing our scope would be huge like that. Where like realize, we're tiny or not important at all. Would also be a big deal. Well, this has been a slightly heavier episode than I was anticipating. Not a lot of jokes in this one.
Well, yeah, but
that's all right. On that note, we'd love to hear what you guys think about the subject. You can hit us on Twitter at MonsterMPod. Tune in next week for our episode, which is going to be the Tarrasque. All right, bye.
Alrighty.
Thank you for listening to this Monster Mechanics mini episode. We are actually looking for listener questions for an upcoming episode. If you have anything that you'd like to ask us or quick ideas or prompts that you would like us to discuss briefly on an upcoming episode, please hit us on our Twitter at MonsterMPod, or you can send an email to monstermechanicspodcast@gmail.com if email is still your thing. Now to the credits. Monster Mechanics is produced and edited by me, Scott Paladin, and hosted by myself and my best friend, Zach Jaquays. All of the ideas generated during our podcast are released under a Do What the F You Want public license.